Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of essential high-stakes information and give you the actionable roadmap you need.
Today's topic is, well, it's one that every single person in a clinical setting will face.
Speaking up in whistleblowing, we're not here for high-level theory. We're here to give you the exact framework, the GMC-aligned high-scoring steps that protect patients, protect your career, and make sure you act fast when safety is on the line.
Exactly. We've pulled this from professional conduct guidelines, from best practice, and our mission is really to cut through that anxiety and the jargon. We want you to internalize the steps that turn that knot in your stomach to effective action.
And to really set the stage, let's jump straight into a scenario, because this is where the policy meets the pressure cooker of reality.
Okay, picture this. You're the most junior person on a chaotic ward round.
Okay.
A consultant who is clearly under immense pressure for beds demands an immediate discharge for a patient. But you know this patient's vital signs are worrying. Their NEWS score is rising, they're hypotensive, the risk is high. You voice your concern, and the consultant just cuts you off. We have no beds, discharge now. What do you do in that exact moment?
Wow. Yeah, that's a moment where everything just freezes. Policy clashes with hierarchy, and your alarm bells are just screaming, but you're also afraid. That immediate, appropriate, and auditable response is exactly what this deep dive is going to deliver.
And the one sentence, the core truth we really need you to walk away with today is this. Raise safety concerns early through the right route, escalate if you hit a barrier, and document everything clearly to protect your patients.
So let's start with that fundamental principle that drives the whole framework. We hear speaking up or whistleblowing. In this professional context, what are we actually talking about?
It's actually quite simple. It's raising a concern about unsafe care or an unsafe system or even an unfit colleague to someone who can actually do something about it. And the crucial thing to remember is that it's a professional duty. It's not really a choice.
Right. And leads straight to what you call the exam mindset. The sources always say patient safety beats hierarchy. But let's be honest, for a junior person on the floor, that sounds terrifying. If I challenge a senior, aren't I risking my career? How does the framework actually help with that fear?
That is the single biggest hurdle, and the framework is designed to address it. It does that by prioritizing system accountability over, individual conflict. When your conduct is looked at later on, you get points, you're rewarded for very specific things.
Okay.
Prompt reporting using policy-backed routes, escalating when you face resistance, and critically, leaving that auditable trail.
So the system rewards us for using the formal structure, not for going rogue.
Exactly. The policy knows you're going to face resistance. Your duty is to the patient and the system. It's all laid out in your GMC duties in Good Medical Practice 2024. The GMC expects you to act promptly when safety is compromised. Following the framework is how you prove you're being a responsible professional.
Okay, let's unpack that framework. If we're in that unsafe discharge scenario, we need a clear, actionable plan. A first, next, last structure we can use under pressure. So what is the absolute first step?
The immediate first step is always to recognize the risks and intervene. You have to stop the harm from happening. If a discharge is unsafe, you physically halt that process and you state clearly the clinical reason.
And once you flagged it, you've got to move from just stopping it to formally reporting it.
Yes. The next step is to report via the correct recognized route. This is key because it makes it official and creates a record. So you go to your immediate senior, the nurse in charge, or the duty consultant. You're looking for the person who is best placed to act right now.
And when we report, especially to someone who's busy, we can't just ramble. We need to be structured.
Absolutely. This is where SBAR comes in. Situation, background, assessment, recommendation. You don't just say, I'm worried. You present facts using SBAR. It makes the issue clear, it's action-focused, and it's much harder for someone to dismiss.
Okay, but let's go back to that hook. What if the person we're supposed to report to is the problem? The consultant demanding the discharge dismisses our SBAR. What then?
And that brings us to the most crucial step. Escalate up the chain if you are blocked. You absolutely cannot stop after one no. The policy says if the barrier is still there, you keep the momentum going. You go to the next level. The on-call consultant, the site manager, maybe even the ICU outreach team if the patient is unstable.
So escalation isn't being difficult. It's literally part of the job description.
It is mandated patient advocacy.
Yes.
And running alongside all of this is the non-negotiable documentation. You have to document the facts, who you contacted, and the timeframes. This creates that accountability trail for everyone, yourself included.
And what's the fifth step? It sounds like it's about looking after yourself in this process.
It is. It's to seek support. Specifically, you might need to involve the Freedom to Speak Up Guardian or FTSU Guardian. You do that if the local routes feel unsafe or if you're worried about retaliation. They're your safety net when the system feels like it's breaking.
Okay, so for the listener on the front line, what are those immediate red flags? The things where wait and see is just not an option.
The sources highlight 4 big ones. First, pressure for an unsafe discharge, just like in our scenario. Clear, ongoing clinical risk.
Okay, what's second?
Repeated process failures. So this is something systemic. Faulty equipment that never gets fixed, critical alerts being missed over and over, dangerous staffing levels. It's a risk to whole groups of patients.
And the third one is very sensitive. Staff impairment.
Yes, intoxication or impairment at work. This is immediately unfit practice. You have to act to protect patients. That means telling a senior and getting occupational health involved.
And fourth, the one that tells you the culture itself is the problem.
Retaliation or bullying for raising concerns. If you or someone you know gets pushed back for speaking up, that has to be escalated formally, often straight to the FTSU Guardian.
Now that's a lot to remember, especially when you're under stress. We need a memory aid. Let's talk about the mnemonic. Speak.
Speak is designed to just flow through your mind when you're under that pressure. So S is for C risk. That's your immediate intervention. Spot the problem, stop the dangerous thing from happening.
P is for present facts, and this is where we use SBAR, right? To be clear, professional, and focused on a solution.
Exactly. Then E is for escalate chain. If you hit that wall, you have to go up the hierarchy. Don't wait. Don't assume someone else will handle it.
A is for ask FTSU support. That's your safety net. Contacting the Freedom to Speak Up Guardian when things feel blocked or unsafe.
And finally, K is for keep records. Documentation is your best friend. Who, when, what was said, and what's the plan.
Speak. See risk, present facts, escalate chain, ask FTSU support, keep records. That's a perfect roadmap for when things get chaotic.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because the sources are very clear about the low-scoring trap answers. These are the mistakes that seem easy in the moment, but are professionally disastrous.
Okay, let's go through them. Trap 1 is probably the most tempting because it avoids all conflict. Wait and see if it improves. Why is that so bad?
Because you've already identified a red flag. Waiting just delays action and lets the risk continue. The GMC standard is about prompt, timely action. Doing nothing when you know there's a risk is, well, it's unacceptable.
Okay, trap 2. Complain in private DMs or on WhatsApp. We all do it. We vent.
We do, but it provides zero professional protection. There's no formal record, no accountability, and it's not a recognized route. You have to move from just complaining to formally reporting. That's how you score points.
And trap 3. Stop after one rebuff.
This goes back to our consultant scenario. They say, no, I feel like I've done my bit. Why do I have to keep going?
Because the patient is still unprotected. Your duty is to make sure the risk is actually dealt with, not just to mention it once. You have to keep escalating until the risk is formally addressed by someone.
And the last one, the most damaging one, trap 4. Go public on social media. Instant fail. It breaches professionalism, patient confidentiality, everything. The golden rule is you have to use the recognized internal pathways first. Going public is an absolute last resort, only after every single other official channel has been exhausted. It's very, very rare.
That clarity is so important. So let's hit that biggest hurdle one more time. A senior actively dismisses my concern. What is the immediate policy-backed step that lets me go around them?
The policy is built for this. You must immediately bypass them and escalate to the next appropriate senior. That's usually the on-call consultant, the site manager, or the critical care outreach team if the patient is crashing. Your justification is always patient safety. And then, crucially, you document why you bypassed them, the time it happened, and that you escalated immediately. That documentation protects you and holds them accountable.
Let's talk more about that safety net, the Freedom to Speak Up Guardian. When should you actually get them involved? What is their specific job?
You bring them in when those normal clinical routes feel blocked, or maybe unsafe, or if you're genuinely afraid of retaliation. Their role is key. They are independent and impartial. They give you confidential advice on what to do next. They don't usually fix the immediate clinical issue themselves, but they make sure management follows the right process and that your concern is investigated properly without any blowback on you.
Okay, and moving back to the documentation, that auditable trail, let's get really specific. What are the key things you must write down in the patient's notes or in a follow-up email?
Okay, there are 5 essential things. First, the facts of the concern, using SBAR. Second, who you contacted and when. Third, the advice you received or the fact that you were dismissed. Fourth, any agreed follow-up plan or review time. And fifth, if you filed an incident report, you must record the incident report reference number. Meticulous notes are your greatest protection.
That detail is so crucial. And finally, what about legal protection? Does following all these rules actually give you some cover?
Yes. The sources confirm that disclosures you make in the public interest, so about safety or misconduct, through these formal routes get protection under the Public Interest Disclosure Act, or PDA. And it's important to know PDA protects disclosures in the public interest, not just a personal complaint. Following the SPEAK framework helps make sure your concern falls into that protected professional category.
Okay, let's bring this all together.
To synthesize this whole deep dive, here are your 4 key takeaways. 1, safety always comes before hierarchy. You have a duty to raise concerns early.
Yeah.
2, use SBAR and policy-backed routes. 3, escalate if you hit a barrier. Your job doesn't stop at no. And 4, document everything. Facts, times, and follow-up plans. Create that trail.
So what does this all mean for your day-to-day practice? It seems like the goal is to move beyond just following a rule book and actually start building a culture of safety.
Exactly. Knowing the SPEAK framework is one thing, but the hardest part is building that professional courage to actually do step 1 to see the risk when you're under all that pressure.
And that raises a final provocative thought for you to take away. Knowing that you will face resistance, how can you proactively build your support systems, your mentors, a relationship with the FTSU Guardian, your own mental strength, so that you're ready to act even when your seniors disagree?
That mental prep is the difference between knowing the policy and actually using it when a patient's life is on the line. Apply the SPEAK framework to every challenge you face. It's your professional roadmap to safety.
We've given you the tools. Now go use them confidently. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.